Good evening.
Hello.
We have a list of games that we have filtered out, and one of them is Crash Team Racing. That's what we're going to start it off with, at least. It might be the only game we play, but it is happen.
I forget where we even left off. Weren't we doing cup races? I mean, we don't have to start with cup races.
I don't mind doing anything.
Yeah, we were. We were starting the Silver Series.
Okay.
Might be off.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
do
okay. It's just putting on medium, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I need to switch over the scene. Sure.
Oh yeah, that's not fair for them to have to watch on the small screen.
Right? Yeah, switch this around.
That's like younger sibling mentality. You can see.
Should what?
Yeah. That. I don't know. Check the sound really quick.
Hey, how's my exhaust taste?
Curious on how this is gonna look. I just tweaked a whole bunch of stuff on OBS. I'm hoping it works out. Because we have other VODs of this on the back end, just chilling in private. Along with a whole bunch of other ones, dozens and dozens, that just don't look very good, in my opinion. I forget all the buttons.
Me too, I'm over here. I'm in my ass. I'm just messing. I'm just messing.
B button is right button, I think.
No, that changes the camera.
Right button works this one right here.
Oh, haha. Yep.
I should just say R1 and R2 and all that.
Oh yeah,
Left button does it too.
That's right. That's how you get.
Haha. Beatings. I should put that right next to a collectible. Or right on it. I mean, that'd be the best.
Woo! So B uses the item.
Oh, I should have left that target. Or is that you? No, it's not you. Wonder if I hit somebody with that. Hit somebody. Whoa! No, not right there. Okay. I guess that was a perfect spot, actually. Ooh, I see him. I'm back here, player one.
you're sure taking your sweet time.
Took forever to get to the person in first place. Oh! Wonder if I actually hit him with that, though.
This was
The
just
fact I went from 8th place to 4th is phenomenal. I will take it. I just needed to learn the bot.
This is a good game. This is totally up there with Mario Karts. And it's totally an underdog that's completely underrated. Oh, that's not caught up. Thank you, because I was just looking at chat. And I tried to take a peek off and on throughout the race when I was in a straightaway, but still. Would have meant nothing. It wasn't caught up.
Mine was messing up pretty bad last night. That's why I was looking at yours.
Hey, how's my exhaust taste?
Get off me.
I'm sorry. I did not mean to do that to you. Everyone was just grouped together.
What Crunk be playing?
I got that super early on. I'm supposed to get that in last place after you've been in it for a little while. Well, I guess I've gotten it other times, but usually not when you're just starting out. Oh.
Better watch your six.
Oh.
Oh. There's nothing you can do about homing things unless you have something to hold in front of you or hold behind you. That one was not a homing one. If I hit somebody with it. Oh. What?
Hi.
Hi. Oh no. What the fuck?
Yes, that happened. That's the second time.
Oh no.
I
I
must
didn't know that was a thing at all. Wait, what? There's one right there too, apparently.
I found.
Hey, how's my exhaust taste?
Punk's such a dick. How's my exhaust taste?
Trophy's mine.
Whoa. Dude, give me a boost. Oh, I am so sorry if that was my fault.
No.
Stay in the middle. No. No. Oh,
Bitch.
right? Oh no, that was a blue shell. Watch out. Same spot. Oh, this totally deserved.
We're not getting this cup.
I wonder if those were on the easy tracks. Those, Venus flytrap things.
I don't remember them at all. Not one bit. Crazy.
It is.
I don't care. I could get a failure every time, and I still have fun playing this game.
It is a lot of fun. It relies very heavily on weapons and shields and things. Which actually I think you can turn them off and just make it into a racing game. So you can probably get these tracks very easily
Oh my
done.
god, this one is.
This reminds me of the ghost level in Mario.
It's the prettiest level.
Most of the ghost levels were building levels, weren't they? In the Mario Kart series?
Hey, how's my exhaust taste?
Like death. That's what exhaust tastes like.
Sure do.
Oh, I just wanted some apples, man. Oh. I keep forgetting there is some type of move you can do to get
An extra boost.
around corners, kind of like Mario Kart 2. Is it back and forth like in Mario? No, it's just building that bar up at the bottom of the screen and releasing it before it expires.
Oh, I was looking at something that didn't exist.
Medium doesn't mess around.
No, I'm digging it. Challenge.
Yeah, it's an actual challenge.
I can't tell you last time we played this either.
No, it's been no, it's been about a year. Maybe even under a year.
The fact that we're
Whoa, sticky walls, I guess.
able to remember her. It's phenomenal to me. Not today, Spidey! It is tomorrow!
Scooter man. Scooter man, do you? Oop, oop.
Better watch your six.
I need to stop jumping so much. I love jumping. But those apples make you faster. The more you have.
Why is it turning so slow? I have no apples.
It's kind of like a perfect union of the dynamic between Diddy Kong Racing and Mario Kart. Because Diddy Kong Racing had the bananas that made you faster the more you had. Wow, that hit everyone? Except, you know, I had no idea. You can throw it?
I thought that was a homing one. Wasteful Mickey over here. You know that. Is that a homing one? Yes.
Shit. At least it was 8th place this time.
I'm 8th
This
place.
is just an experiment.
I think we would actually be doing okay if it wasn't for all the different devices of meta they use on us.
Well, I forgot that the apples actually did something. I wasn't even trying to get any. Like, neither race.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
minute. Love that word. But
No,
it's
a big difference. It's substantial.
I mean, 1 versus 10, yes, but in the increments, not really.
Fair.
You have just a few. It's like you have just one.
Fair.
I mean, this game just wants to kick your ass anyways. That's the whole objective. Kind of like Burnout series. The whole series is meant to put objectives in your way so that you mess up as much as possible and you smash into things and into other vehicles on purpose sometimes. This is the whole point of that game. It's a good racer, but
You're sure
hard
taking your sweet time.
for those reasons. And this reminds me of Wario level from the 64. Oh my goodness, is that a kitty cat over here on her way to get the snuggles?
We'll try.
I'm sorry, lady. This just ain't one of those games. Oh! I'm in second for now. But all it takes is just 1 or 2 bloopers and it's over. It's not like easy mode where you can easily catch up.
Better watch your six. Out of my way.
Ah, I tried to hold it back behind me. Didn't matter.
Woo!
Oh man, it's a good thing I had that. What the thing name?
What thing name?
The mask that goes around you when you're doing that special from Crash. I forget his name.
Tiki something, I think.
Okay. I think you're right. Somebody uploaded a whole bunch of homing missiles on me. And Tiki saved the day, man. The game was determined. It was so close. It's actually a level where trying to jump over some of these dunes works out in your favor. Uh-oh.
So far behind.
Jump, 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 jump. Oh, I got you. He's down with me. How did he just disappear like that? He must have had some nitrous.
You're sure taking your sweet time.
Oh, you shit talker. I
Got
haven't really messed up. I don't know how I'm in 8th place.
And people are just going in front of me. I need to get some more apples, apparently. There we go. I'm full again. Every time you get hit, you lose some, too.
Better watch your six.
That was great. Oh, I was trying to hit the rocket with those. Crap! Where's everybody getting those? Are you serious? They just held on to them. Damn, son.
That's crazy. That was crazy.
AI is whooping my ass.
It's fun.
Makes me wish I would have held on to a shield.
We did not. We did not.
Oh no, no, no.
So,
Failure. Do you want to play some more?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Hey.
We did
No, we did this one, I think. Yeah. No need to change it now.
get it. Bingo Canyon.
Oh, come on. That's what I wanted. Keep it. I don't want decals. Let's go. Okay.
Oh, 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 oh.
Boost up that turbo! Sound like a NASCAR announcer.
Yes. Oh yeah, it smells great.
Ruse tubes.
Sounds bad.
Yes, that sounds really bad. I don't wanna.
You're sure taking your
Whoa.
sweet time.
Not that boost. Nice. Deflected with the TNT. What I was trying to do earlier with the bombs. Hit me in the last one.
Out of my way!
This is a tiny map, huh?
Itty bitty. That was kind of handy.
Trying to get as many of those little corner boosts as I can. Oh. No apples.
How's my exhaust taste?
Ah! Almost got him.
Oh my eye itches so bad.
You can't do nothing about it.
Nope, there's like cat hair in it or something.
Ah, it's so close. If only I hit him with that sooner.
This was just an experiment.
Oh, the bitch just lies.
Getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
At least with the controls now. When it comes down to the map and the characters just hitting us with stuff constantly. Because I almost
Oh,
had
there's
third.
me in. Can't sweat.
Oh, so thirst. So much thirst. That's a dog yipping in his sleep.
It's adorable.
It is adorable. I don't even know if
Stable.
anybody could hear. Oh, that's nice. Oh, just the pillow. Come here, kitty. It will snuggle, kitty. You can't pet kitty, but you can come over here and lay next to me if you want. It's a racing game. You can't set down the controllers. Or else. Hey, there's a kitty right above my head. Wonder if she's showing up. Uh-oh. Jump, 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 jump. Damn it. You have to start jumping immediately. I'm gonna use that shield right now. To think you might actually be able to throw the shield at people, maybe. If I'm not mistaken. The worst case scenario thing. Oh shit, I just hit a whole bunch of people with that. And I don't think it really mattered. I think they caught up to me immediately because I ended up in 7th place after hitting 4 or 5 people with that. That don't make sense. Oh well.
You're sure taking your sweet time.
It's so rude.
Trophies mine!
Just to catch up to him.
Rock and roll.
Whoa! So many rockets. I didn't mean to catch him and give him a big old boost. Damn, it is super shady. I couldn't imagine hard mode.
Oh my god. Oh, it's gonna be just that. So hard. Oh my god. Sweaty Betty. Stop it.
Sweaty Betty.
Eee. I'm
This
getting
is not
sweat.
back Sweaty Betty though. Ooh, ooh. Nice. I do not care if I get first. This is ridiculous. There was absolutely nothing I could do or retain or hold on to stop getting hit by some of that shit.
Right.
Like, some people were throwing stuff at me that weren't homing on me. And just exploded instantly. You know, because like there's the regular bombs you can just roll at people that don't seek people out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can literally just be right next to someone and just throw it. That's what they were doing to me. There was no avoiding that. And holding back an item behind me.
Yeah.
You can do that. I did that earlier. Wait until I was just about to hit the finish line and launch like 3 missiles at me. From 2 different people.
Aww. We'll get you to again and your little bag. I love the little bags.
This game is really cute. And it doesn't look that bad either.
Hey, how's my exhaust taste?
Foolish.
Oh, Ashley. Hey, try actually excelling.
Whoa! I should let off the gas a little bit. Holy crap.
Instantly.
There is no drifting around. Whoa!
Let me go!
I do not remember this level at
No,
all.
not at all. Give me my tiki. I only feel safe with my tiki.
No, I can't avoid it. I have nothing.
For tiki.
This game would be vastly improved if you can collect just one more device and be able to collect shields and stuff. Or items to throw behind you and have a boost or whatnot. How are you guys just taking that turn so fast? And I can't unless I hop around it. No. Yeah. No, don't you dare. Get away from me. He's trying to take me out with him. Oh my god. I used the shield just in time. This is so sweat.
Oh. Oh.
Got one of y'all. What? Smash him so
This was just an experiment.
I'm throwing a fit. That's hilarious. He's some consistent.
Third, fourth. Aw.
Consistent.
I'll be right back. Oh, you know what? Good chances.
Where are you? I can't see the moose. The moose? Oh,
Welcome
no.
back. If you're just joining us, let's go to a commercial break.
Come on down to Pete Lee's Used Cars. These cars are actively being used. I don't own them, but I don't care. I'll still sell them to you. There's a family inside this car. Take them or leave them. $50 unless you'll pay $60. Make your way on over to Pete Lee's Used Cars, conveniently located next to the sign. Pete Lee's Used Cars. I don't know. I'm just trying things.
Welcome back again. A new bombshell report has just come out showing that they are still being used as shells for bombs. We'll keep you updated as these bombshell reports are released. But first, we are getting in word that the sun is gone. For more on this, we go to Stephen Lee Curry. Stephen Lee.
Stanley, I stood here on the Pacific coast watching the sun slowly sink into the ocean like the movie about that big boat sinking.
My God, how could something so massive have sunk?
It was an iceberg, Danley.
An iceberg sunk a star.
DiCaprio, yes.
We're sending thoughts and prayers. Give them 3 to 5 business days.
Could you send cash instead?
Speaking of money, the stock market continues to exist. Let's check in with our market analyst, Badley Bunny. Badley, how are the numbers looking these days?
Still like letters.
Watch out, stairs. There's a new tech in town called escalators. We here at Channel 12 have just found out about this disruptive technology that hypes you'll never have to stare at a stair again. Stairs are cooked. It is officially over for stairs. They will be 100% replaced by escalators. But it does beg the question, who controls these new artificial inclines? To find out, we sent investigative reporter Chrisley Pratt to our local mall. Chrisley, what have you learned?
Well, I think I've just gotten to the bottom of this, Stanley, and I can tell you it goes all the way to the top.
All the way up to the Illuminati, huh?
Actually, I think it's an H&M up there.
Sorry, Chrisley, we need to drop everything because a car chase is happening. Let's go to our eye in the sky, Timothée Chalamet.
We lost the light. We're going down.
To get a closer look at the chase, that's a good idea.
I knew this is how it would end. Send love to my wife.
She's not really my type. Moving on, the NBA Finals were this past week. For his reaction, we go to our sports reporter, Morgan Lee Freeman. Morgan Lee.
Stanley, I just want to take this sports instance to address my recent incarceration due to a heinously accurate guilty verdict where they're just looking for someone to blame for the things I did. And for some reason, they're pointing the finger at me. It's a conspiracy, Danley. You gotta ask yourself, who benefits from having me locked up? My victims? How high up does this go? H&M?
Morgan Lee, were you gonna talk about the game?
I'm talking about the biggest game of all, Danley, the one where they are accusing me of my actions.
I lost a lot of money on that game. Coming up, Santa Claus is coming to town early to sue Coca-Cola for using his likeness.
Okay. Wampa. That's his name, Wampa, I believe. I think. Could be wrong. Right there, pressing up and B. You can throw a bunch of stuff forward, not all of them, but some of them. You can throw those bombs backwards by doing back and B.
Oh, a crocodile.
You're sure taking your sweet time.
Wow.
It was the shadiest.
Oh, and people do recover almost instantly. What the fuck? I just sat there and watched that shit happen before my eyes. I don't recover quick like that. I guess that's just medium for you. They couldn't find a better way of making it harder other than just shady. And they've been able to collect as many apples as me, and I haven't really seen too many. And they're just pulling away from me somehow. Yeah, take another one. Just, you know, chill for a minute. Sit back. Relax. What that rabbit did in that story. Let's take a nap. Unless it's a Warner Brothers adaptation only, I don't know. Hey, guess what? Get out of there. So I think it's mostly the blue shell one. Oh, god damn it. Instantly 7th? What? Get out of here. Nope. You too. Oh my god. How? Is the car just slow?
Oh yeah.
No, other people are driving cars. It's only because I have 0 apples?
I have 0 apples.
Huh. I only got hit like once. Or twice maybe. Like, anything. I mean, everything. People just pulled away and got in front of me. Slowly but surely. Like I said, I'm watching people not pick up apples and just flying away.
Is that all you got? This was just an experiment.
To get 8th place and see everybody on the map still, like right there in your screen, is crazy. It's how close they are.
Yeah. Everybody's just in a little pack trying to be. It's kind of like watching NASCAR.
Yeah, actually.
So, I wonder if that list is still active up in here. We just had the filters. No. Actually, let's turn that one off. Then do this for a minute. Wow, fool. There we go. Did I affect that? Nope. Good stuff.
Very nice.
Very nice. Okay. You want some pew-pews or some more? Do you want... There's all kinds of stuff.
I don't care.
This is kind of fun. It's kind of like the punchy, kicky stuff. I don't know if you would be down for that.
I'll play anything.
We got the pew-pews, and we got the Conquer Reloaded, but the multiplayer wasn't very good in that, from what I remember.
I don't really remember it, but
And it was
good. We would have played it more.
Yeah, it's not co-op style at all, and it's hard to explain. Not bad, but it isn't good. It's mid. And we wanted to mix it up a bit. So did I. We can try some Need for Speed if you want to.
Okay. That should be fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, is it split screen or...
What happened over here?
It's just... I need to turn it on
Oh, okay.
and unplug the thing and plug it back in.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
No, just, yeah. So I put it right there. But we could also Now, were we playing this on the same system or like this before?
I don't remember.
Because that's actually pretty good too.
That's a lot of.
Super duper duper underrated. Now it does crash a lot though, because they don't really keep up on it as much as they should. My honest opinion. Oh, we got that modded, super mega modded Stardew to play too. It's got the 130 mods on here. It eventually got running decently.
Yeah.
But it's not on the Xbox though, it's on the PC. We never beat Trigger Witch.
No, we didn't. That was a fun game.
And I wish the second one of War Groove was good.
Yeah.
It was really bad. And I guess it's worth asking, you said earlier you wouldn't mind playing this. Do you want to try it, or would you like to play some Vermintide? I mean, Vermintide's pretty good too. The world's your oyster! Racing, shooting, chopping up the hordes. Let's play some Vermintide. I just can't remember how far along I am in that. It was on Steam or on here that got pretty far. Let's switch over to this view. Pow. Pow. I need to get your capture card running. Or no, we're all good.
Yeah, we're good.
My screen is just black right now.
Mine, the capture card might need plugged in or whatever. Recycle it. My screen is
Oh, you're right.
frozen roses.
Oh, no, I might not have to actually get up and do anything. Might better do it from here. Over here. Oh. This, deactivate, reactivate it. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, sign me out.
Oh. Maybe we might not be able to both play at the same
Yes.
time.
Just needed to sign me out.
Oh, okay. My bad.
You're okay. It's only the cloud games that make us do that.
Okay. My bad.
Okay.
There you go. Cool. I was like, no! Because some games, they will only let me play. It's super unfair about that. Alright. Yeah, it's doing it again.
Go over and hit there.
Oh. Okay.
It improves about it.
Need your sound to... Yours is working. Working. but I might have to turn my sound off or something, dialogue. I'll look in the menus, turn off everything but my sound effects or something. Line. No, wait. Online. Think I'm gonna start the game first. I think. I'm pretty sure all the online multiplayer stuff is actually in it. Do we?
There can be no victory. The darkness always returns. Legends tell that these words were spoken by Sigmar, the first emperor. Some believe he had a vision of what was to come. But Sigmar uttered truth, not prophecy. The darkness always returns.
This looks like starting it over again.
When the Skaven conquered Ubersreich, the flame of defiance guttered. The Reichland should have been lost, but heroes arose.
And slow down.
Just some music. Alright, now I have your sound off, because it's going to do the same thing on my screen as it is yours.
What am I seeing this?
And pause the game.
You don't need that one anymore, mate. Don't mind if I do.
Such a good game.
Oh, I've been waiting for this.
I have to increase my brightness just a little bit. Oh yeah, that's so much better.
I'm almost impressed, Kruber.
Open the door, let me out.
And free already. I was
Open
just
the door,
about
let
to
me
help
out.
you with that cage.
What? Alicia?
After the tutorial, I'll turn on my sound because
Yes, it's me.
dialogue is
I'm
not
here to help you
separated
escape.
in the
And instead of
options,
get
or I
shaking up
would.
this place, the time is now.
Alright, but
You were on your
What
way
did
to
I?
being sacrificed, so you can thank me later.
Get out of
Now
here.
go.
Get out of here,
I have
you!
work to do.
Shoot, shoot.
You here?
Get it?
Get it? Got it good? Hmm? Hmm? Ooh! Come at me! Bro.
Personal space.
This over here? Personal space. This over there? Personal space! No. Okay.
What the Hello Kitty is that? Is
I-
that a friend? It's a friend.
Oh!
got a little something for you, Northlander.
Yeah.
Oh no, Johnny wants it off mine.
I said bomb, bitch. Ooh. Forgot about the heavy attacks.
We're not.
Blam!
You ain't the only one who can take big, sweet cracks.
Oh, but what?
How the fuck do I get over there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it just a jump down? It is. Oh. Oh. The audacity.
The audacity. What now? Oh, okay.
Guess I found my first one. Rat bastard!
Ooh. Supposed to shoot at though.
Well, the more tools, the better.
I should actually turn mine back off again. I don't hear everything twice. And so we can get into multiplayer mode.
Shoot you in the face. Shoot you in the face. That's fun. Enjoyed that.
Shoot, what though? Oh, and holding block and pressing right trigger is a staggering, like, bash with your handle. And then you just start knocking the crap out of them. Oh shit. I didn't even see those. Honestly, I think I need to turn my brightness up just a little bit more. Something like that, maybe? Yeah, now I can actually see a little bit better. Oh, what's that over there? Maybe I need to get up there to get around and down over there. Yes.
How do I get back out of here? Maybe it's this.
Mistakes were made.
Where? Jumped down a hole and I got stuck.
Dance. He's dancing. Look at this dancing fool. Oh. Oh. Oh, okay. Smash, smash, smash.
Oh, there's a big guy. Oh, oh, oh.
Just let him come at you. I wasted a whole bunch of arrows on him. I made him dance around.
I didn't even see him.
That crate behind you, when you're done, will refill your ammo again. Ooh. I can turn this down just a little bit. Maybe. Yeah. At least it caught it semi-early.
Why is there no jump?
There is, it's the A button.
Look.
Oh, getting up there, I don't think you're supposed to be able to get up there. Yeah, I see what you're at. You're pretty much right where I'm at. Well, exactly where I'm at, actually. Yeah, okay, from here.
He's just too happy.
Yeah, he is way too happy about this. So we're pretty confident, and he's pretty confident he's gonna die, and he's like, ah, it's been fun. I'm gonna sing a song.
Pardon, hush! Keep a lid on it, all right? There you are, Azunki. Down into the rat. Move, not long legs.
If we can grapple though, and you know, rappel, slide, all those things like you can in like Far Cry we were playing last night, in here would be amazing.
Yeah, it would.
Not so rough next time, Azunki. You fair crack me head open. Ungrateful bugger, ain't you?
Did I or didn't I? How do I heal you?
I'll
So-
fetch 'em. Have to patch you up. Second your sweet time, aren't you?
Oh, there's a medical pack over there on the table. And once this game starts up and you have some of the NPC players with you, they are so damn helpful. And they will revive you and revive each other all the time.
Okay, so, hello, guy.
All right.
Let's go.
Kill your way out of here.
Fire! Oh, that was him. Like the bad guys.
There should be, like, comical sound effects.
Oh, that was a friend.
Dead. She set up some kind of portal for us on the surface. One Eye is already there.
And Sienna?
We'll look for her now.
Alicia! So!
You look
Big
like
surprise
Frog.
over there. No sense leaving stuff for the vermin.
Ooh. I like potions, they're so pretty.
They are really pretty.
I would have died back in the days, I'm telling you.
Just drinking the glowing potions.
Oh my god, that's so pretty.
Mmm. With a sip of radium. I can do anything I want.
I didn't say I was. That I'm curious.
Wait, what? Why aren't they following? Friends, no! Oh, okay.
Good to see you on your feet, Sienna.
Fiery friend.
Thank you, Marcus. Good to see you too. All of you.
More friend?
More friend.
Hi, more friend. I'll save you
This bloody thing that
from the burning men. But you're burning now too.
The wizard uses, or that type of wizard uses up their magic, they can explode if they're not careful.
They should be careful.
Like you have to balance the magic you're using, or and you can purposely do so and explode, but if somebody's not around, to save you, you gotta make sure you're not doing that shit. You will die. See, and I don't know, is there a person that wields a gigantic hammer like this?
Me? No.
Well, no, I mean, once you get into the game, I don't think you can play as this character anymore.
Aw.
Yeah,
But I like my swingy hammer.
me too.
To make me happy lady.
Oh yeah, I just beat like 5 of them up with all the same swings.
The ritual bomb. Bonk,
Monkey biscuits, come here.
big bonk. Everybody likes the bomb. Especially those guys. Oh, that's gonna go boom. Oh, big boom. Alright, guys. What are you doing? Don't fight the room.
Put the guy out of his misery, I guess. Oh, time to go.
Wow, we were really at the exact.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Once you're climbing up after you.
Can't help it. They're just obsessed with me.
The immersions.
They want the bomb.
Listen, we're not dying from anything wrought by escaping.
They whispered it to me.
It's just a chunk of wood.
It really is.
Kronk's got the bomb. Unga bunga.
Yes, I can get. Oh, can I?
That's what that reminds me of. Yeah, guys. You don't. You can want to.
They're gone now. They went into the hole.
Have a disaster to deal with. I think we all had that figured out. And yes, apparently we're in Helmgard.
The remains of Helmgard.
Actually, it'll take your brightness needs to come down a little bit.
Twisted and torn asunder by corruption.
Wow, it's super bright.
Back to normal for us then. Remember, we're not clear yet, mates. Find that portal and Saltspire. We're about to hop into this.
And pause it and turn the brightness down.
I mean, look at this.
No help.
I will once say this is how long things can take much
Nothing of
longer.
its like.
No.
Not
The
even
tutorial
close.
is pretty short.
Power to cause
Each one
such
is. This is kind of like a extraction game in its own way. Where you're extracting directly from enemies. It's like a PvE. Wait, can I? Yeah.
I need you all with me.
Sheep.
There's different variations. I think that's one of them. Like a necro form that she can be
I know what you're thinking.
in a DLC, I believe.
Is this real? Is it a dream? A night
Glad that other capture card's working out. I had some screen tearing issues before. And just keep an eye out for that. Like it looks like a slit through the screen, and when you turn, it's going like this. It's just screen tearing. And that means that capture card just needs its USB wiggled around. No matter which, like I've changed the wire out and everything. Just like earlier, I had to unplug it from everything to fully reset it. Can't just unplug it from one thing or the other. Fully unplug it from everything sometimes and wiggle it around. It's a fickle little capture card.
Hello.
Unlike that other one we got that's got all those ports on it.
It's just like a little trailer to her.
Yeah, I'm confused, honestly, I guess. Is it gonna do this for all the characters?
Oh my god. If so,
Can we
I'm
skip it?
taking a break.
I just want to get into the actual
See, because
hub.
okay.
Here we go. Oh, you can skip it. Let me in here, please. Because we've already played this on Steam. We haven't played it on Xbox.
That's why I don't have a character.
Yep, same. I have a fully upgraded Battle Wizard right there.
Yeah, Hunter. Oops.
If you like the arrow, I would go with. Oh, I thought you liked it.
It's weird. I do when I don't.
Okay, well, the dwarf has a arrow.
And he's got a bunker. Bonk, bonk, bonk.
Oh.
I mean, I resemble this one. Like it's like looking in a mirror.
Wonder what my secondary weapon is, other than the sword.
Did you unlock these?
There's higher up versions, but
you have to buy all.
I think the golden ones you do, but you can still upgrade the other ones. There might be another battle mage again.
You pirate,
At least
sword,
the sun is
or
shining,
pilgrim.
eh?
Does look like a pilgrim, doesn't it?
Is
You look up history books, that's when you can see
Seems
their
like
hats.
an old
From
mate
Pilgrim
of mine has been whispering in
to
Balthazar
Mandalorian.
Gelt's ear. Wonder what they
a
talk
weird executioner. What is that progression?
Mm-hmm. Money.
See, she's the one that looks this almost the same throughout all of her progressions.
I pick the character. Apparently this is what I spend this stuff on. Is there anything else I can spend it on? This kind of bums me out. I really wish, and I know they'll probably never do it, that Xbox, because PCs can kind of do it, but Xbox would have a Steam app on them. So we can play our Steam characters. I don't know. Actually, you know what? We don't have DLC for it over there. Okay, so it don't matter. It's just starting over again.
You look angry. Furry.
Dude, these guards are so ridiculous. You can have a hard time seeing in battle with them on. In real life. If it was real life. Whoa. Yeah, it's too expensive. I guess. I can't buy that. Damn it. What's this one?
Oh, that's giving 13th Ghost.
A little bit. No, just save it.
Are enchanted, invisible when closed.
And sometimes the gate guards get drunk and lose the keys.
Aye, I mean, no. I mean, not often.
And the rest of the time?
Well, we're a cautious folk. Once our old empire fell, some kings thought it best just to leave the world to itself for a bit.
But that was
Wait, did you join already?
years ago.
No sense being careful unless you mean it, Saren. We have long memories and longer grief.
Ooh. Give me. Oh. Wow. You're a big bird.
Just the network options. Because I just want to be us. Private matching. Wow. The things, all the things, the things. Boat time limit.
That's for Twitch.
Yeah, I know.
That's very cool.
That's interesting. Anything that relays should relay over there on all the rest or unreached. I have no idea if we have a relay still going or not. Let's see.
Well, hello. How are you?
Disagreed?
Hello. I can't see that.
How 'twas your day?
Let me make that a little bit bigger.
I'm bonking thing.
I think we might pick while we're in there. Oh well. I think
If anybody comes in, we'll just bonk them.
let's bonk them.
We will.
You want it to be on easy or veteran?
Not
Okay.
veteran.
No, that's the next one up.
Oh my god. That's no chill. How do I vote? Accept.
And then just come down here and enter the bubble.
Sure. Hey, that's cool.
Down the stairs behind you. Oh yeah, fix your brightness a little bit.
How?
Press start. Yeah, near there you go. There. Display. Go down. And turn that to like 3. Or 3.5 or something.
Oh.
Yes, apply. No, you can just back out by pressing B.
Oh, that's so much better. Not blinding.
Can't say you did.
It looks like I might end up muting mine because the dialogue's overlapping.
Turns out that the Pact Sworn
I
have
don't
been
need
kidnapping
sound.
folk from
Oh no, I'm
villages
talking
in the
about on the
Grey
stream,
Mountains,
so people aren't hearing
right
it
in the
twice.
shadow of-
They'll just hear it once.
That's right.
This game's not made for us to do this. This is not a split screen game. We're like pretty much forcing it by
The
having all
powers
this
that be have noted our
right
past
next to each
interest
other.
in the place and wondered if you'd take
It's
a look
technically
and
couch
set
co-op,
things
but it's
straight.
not. Because it's not split screen. But we made it happen with those little screens. We saw some funny ass shit on Far Cry because of that.
Yeah, we
From
did.
2 different angles on some of those things that happen.
Nice.
This is pretty.
The Pact Sworn are likely heading to Blockburg. We have to
We'll
beat
be
them there.
later.
We'll do what we can, though we may be too late. House is being gloomy until we know what's what. And Lona says there's a map in Blockburg if we need it.
We do have a... Yeah, we do have a team with us, okay.
There's people?
NPCs.
Hi, people. Yeah, the pirate.
There's been unpleasantness ahead. To me, my flames. So, they like picking on the
I hope I don't offend anybody that really likes this. I love this game by calling me pirate.
How dare you get their names wrong. Put some respect. There's people that get seriously offended about that sometimes. My game. No.
Booty cheek.
Give him the cheeks.
I'm giving a prostate example.
Ooh.
Killed it.
Special.
Is a myth. A
They
fiction
like
Well, I
that.
guess it wasn't a good prostate.
But you said you saw it.
I
Pick
did.
Did him a favor.
The streets of Paravan.
The midwife.
We'll head to the temple. Find this map of Loans. Proportion flux!
Magic. Overwhelming.
I do hug your face.
Reach incoming!
What am I doing? That was terrifying and I hated every second of it.
Squelchy.
No, I had whispers.
Come on, up
Scary,
here.
scary
Stay
whispers.
alert for gunners, mayflies.
Ah, I bonk you.
Oh. Things spawning on you back here?
It's okay. I bonked him in the face.
Oh, we
There's
got
one more.
everybody.
There's 2 more. Oh, there's a door right here.
Prowling gun.
We can go through it.
The rallying is last.
There's creatures. Don't worry about it. You're following me.
Is it generally bizarre concept? The new or? Oh, this is Vermintide 2. Which is that one series. I can't remember.
Or Warhammer.
Yeah, Warhammer series. Thank you.
Oh, crap. Warhammer.
I think Vermintide is one of their first installments into the series.
It's fun. You get to bonk things.
I like the floods of enemies that can come at you. Very serious Sam-like. A lot of games can't send 30, 40 enemies at you at once.
Smoked him out.
Couldn't handle that smoke. Ooh! What deuce? Me up here.
What the deuce?
What the deuce?
Oh.
Zorps. Uppies.
Come on.
Wee! Ooh, what's this? A toad.
I'm itchy in the face.
I wonder if you can get the toad. Oh, 2.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Nope. Must account for both of us at least.
It showed up on the corner of my screen.
Oh yeah. Yay!
Caring is caring.
Share the Lord. Bring the bearer. Share the Lord. Temple? Up
It's
here?
always a thrill coming to this part of the world. So many mysteries.
The temple up top? I don't know because I wish I knew. Myself, I need it. Wait, it's left directional pad. And something. Why don't I use it? Oh, I didn't do that.
Oh. Oh, that way.
How do I use
You
it?
missed all
Can I not
of
use
the
it on
ball.
myself?
Now that takes a special talent.
Aye, well, I've not had enough to drink, that's the trouble.
I am so confused. I'm just holding the book, you know? Fuck it.
So, the rattling's dead.
What the hell just happened? Oh, you saw the Odyssey? I would like to.
Nice. I read the book. Obsessed with the whole concept of it. Because there's chances, at least they're not really certain, they can't disprove that it isn't based on a real story, kind of. Because a lot of the places they came across speculate to exist. Now, all of the mythical creatures, who knows? Like when the water levels of the ocean were lower, there's a chance that there were crazy places in the water you had to traverse. Oh shit, I'm about to explode. Yeah. I'm gonna need... Oh, I got revived instantly? How? Not too busy talking and thinking. Get guilty of just blasting away when I'm doing.
There's something down here. Enemy-wise, something just shimmered up there.
Shimmer? What?
Maybe it was that thing. There's a big fat guy. Maybe it was that thing. That was over here, and as soon as I turned the corner, it poofed in green smoke. Disappeared. Ooh, speaking of that.
We're going around in circles, though. Where's this freaking temple at? There's no markers. What? You get answered? I feel like someone said it's over here.
Stormweaver? Not a Stormweaver.
I can't pick it up.
Nice to be out in the fresh air, away from sewers and slums.
Ah, that it is, Sasumgi. A shame we don't have time to explore. I'll bet these peaks hold all manner of treasures.
Yeah, and all manner of blades in the dark, too.
Wouldn't be fun otherwise.
That's good.
Chest. Look at the path around it. Over. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I have a lot of speculations that pre-flood 13,000 years ago was a completely different world. And they think that there's a slim chance that that story kind of overlaps with some of the accounts pre-flood. When the coasts were different, there was different islands that don't exist now. There was pinch points that made it seem like there was ice walls all around the planet. And there was a giant waterfall because just below South America would have been the biggest waterfall on the planet Earth. It would have made you think the world was flat when you went around. I need help. Where is everyone?
They came to save me.
That's alright. It takes a while for me to die. But yeah, just below South America, if you look at a lot of different maps and topographicals, if the water level was any lower, that would have been a gigantic monster waterfall that you would have had to try to get past. Like, to get around the world, so... And it would have looked like a line that just went on forever, for miles. You would have never thought it was a waterfall. You would have thought it was the end of the frickin' planet. But if you came up to the waterfall on the other side and tried to get towards it, it would constantly push you away and probably be a sea of fog, which was also something tales talked about back in the day in historical nautical accounts.
It's eating me.
And whirlpools and no way north. Like, there's only like a few different ways to north, and it was supposed to be godly land up there or something.
Minions should do their own version of the Odyssey next. That would be great.
Holy crap, did we just get hit with a boss of some sort?
Yes. It ate me.
Oh my god, are you just like gone?
No,
Okay.
I came back, but it sure absolutely ate me.
I think I got ate too. Something happened.
Get
I am
off of me.
dead. Can I check?
Two.
Wow.
Way ouch.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
Right?
Oh my god.
Oh no.
I'm watching him get Loki'd over here.
This is crazy.
That's the thing that eats you. Watch. Oh.
What's going?
Oh my god, it's here to eat me.
He had to shake it off. That was weird. I bet the new Evil Dead is ass. I didn't think the last one with the apartment complex was very good.
Oh wow, I died. There ain't no bringing me back.
And they were stuck and the elevator wouldn't go down or something. I didn't like that one either. I think it was just gore to try to be scary and gross and sad.
Lee Cronin should just stop. Yeah.
Shock people.
He probably should. Oh my good lord.
It's like the old Saw movies. It's like a shock fest, and the Hostel movies. They're just there to just blow your mind. Like, oh my god, what the fuck? And try to gross you out with all the extreme gore.
Oh wow,
nowadays.
Yeah. All they do.
I really like the Cabin in the Woods with Chris Hemsworth. They got real silly at the end. They were feeding gods. Like, it was a government conspiracy, and there was, like, labs underneath the cabin, sending monsters. That one was really, really weird.
Lost all the camp. It's all gore.
There you go. See, it needed a little bit of campiness. The originals had the campiness.
It's Lee Cronin's Wi-Fi. Or he's... No, I'm not going to say that. That's not nice.
Time left for what?
To return to the keep.
Why is it taking so long?
Because you didn't hit return to the keep.
I didn't have any buttons to push.
Why?
I don't know. Why'd you do that to me? Look, what are you doing? Oh.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
Return to the keep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're...
I'm sitting there thinking of that one game or movie so hard. It just messed me up, the game. I was just messing with you earlier, by the way. I know you know. I've known you for 30 years. And some people be like,
ooh.
Oh, ooh, look at you.
Suit yourself.
Where did you find those at? Here?
Yes. Ooh, stop that. What are you looking?
Mere medias here. Then Central and Council. Okay. It does nothing though? Yeah, I want something that does something. Thank you. Anything that does something.
Achievements!
Okay, I think that's it for right now. But
All bright wizards,
you want to take a break?
Or just those who hail from the desolate plains to
Actually, yes.
So you've heard.
Okay.
Met one on the Cathayan Silk Road.
Just a
years
small
back.
one. I have a bedtime tonight, and I'd like to stay live for a bit.
Okay. That sounds good.
Dinner, we will be back in about 10 minutes.
I'm gonna start off with that one scene and see if I got the sounds taken out of it officially before. Alright. We'll be back. Alright. This back on. Boop. Why does it look like it's so noisy?
That's right.
Huh?
This isn't the right scene.
Oh yeah, that's right. My bad.
No, you're
You're
okay.
right. No. Okay. Thanks for calling me out on that.
Okay. But you're used to playing solo.
You were right. And setting up a split screen of games that aren't supposed to be split screen. Yeah. There's a lot of extras up in there. A whole lot. The Trail of Treachery.
It's my palm with silver, and I'll do something.
Did I not start it, or do you...
I'm staying.
Did I? Okay, here we go. There you go.
Oh.
Okay.
That was funny. During break, I set something down and turned off the Xbox.
It recovered really quick, though.
Yeah, it was
Alicia
crazy.
passed me a scribbled note. Her handwriting's something awful. She needs some brave and young-ish heroes to escort a convoy and the warding stone it's carrying.
You did
down into
keep
the
your
village
music
of
on, correct?
Topstad. Apparently they've
Because
been
if
having
it
a
is
problem
good.
with ghosts.
Mine
The
is my
warding
sound's
stone will
completely off
sort it
because
right out.
we can't
Well,
isolate
then,
that.
chop, chop.
Sound ticker. Is it like doubling?
It shouldn't be. I only have
Or
one sound
anything?
source coming in.
One thing I know. There goes sounds. Ooh.
Mine's not making any
Can you
sound.
hear
I
me?
could hear.
Sigma, but I hate using Alicia's magical paraphernalia. That avalanche
Just a little
you
bit
heard
from what it's
looks
picking up
like
from
it's
yours.
done for the convoy. Check it out, would you?
Move with a purpose yet? When it's matter in these climes?
If you don't mind, I'll not be singing. I don't want to set another one off.
You're good. Trying to sound just a little bit more. If they start yelling, they might get picked up. We jump down there? Guess so.
Poor buggers must have been swept away. See if you can find the runestone.
Oh, let's get searching, darlings.
Where are the noises coming from? Okay.
Must have got the thing loaded and ready before the avalanche.
I guess it's up to you to finish the delivery.
Oh. My bad. Didn't see him.
We reaching. We are.
Oh, okay. That's how you do it. Yeah. Nice. It's a good game.
Okay.
stuck.
Well, at least we're not in the box, eh?
Come here.
Nope.
Man.
That's not what I wanted to do.
Some arrows over here.
Yep, well, I fell.
Oh no! My head, friend!
Lamp oil.
Consuming me.
Over here, mayflies.
It's gonna explode.
Wrangler! Over there, kill it!
Oh. The spread.
This explode. And this explode. Oh, that's right. They like to flank. Yeah. Just cut his face right off. Okay. Oh shit! Ew! No!
Oh, to the ground. Get down. Don't chop at me. I already dropped down. Okay, well, I knocked you in the face.
Even your winds have wished, dwarf.
Win!
Damn,
And I'm glad
Why y'all so mad?
I'll be burning your plenty soon
That's
enough.
what I want.
who took all your cheese? Damn.
I have a sliver. Oh. A legit sliver.
Hold on. I think we can share this.
That's better. Thought I was done for.
Press left on the D-pad. You hear? Nothing?
No.
Oh, damn.
Gotta find a person.
Well, people can revive you, at least, if you go down. That's the beauty of it all.
Hello? Is this crystal ball playing?
The health packs are slim to none.
All frosted over.
Oh, shit. I had that ready to go. Oh, my explode. Bam.
How did I get in that?
Not yet. You pull through, dwarf.
Assassin rat!
Oh, I was blocking too. It didn't matter. I wonder what you can do. You dodge, like left or right, maybe?
It's a rattling! Come on, down here!
I don't know. We'll
Packmaster's dead.
I can't take much more, darling.
You're badly wounded, Sienna. Business, I'll give you that.
throw you in the face.
Looks like a sturdy slave. We can use that. Don't worry, Cootie. I'll be back.
Can't see.
Oh. We're getting completely surrounded. That's what's up.
Heave, Dory, heave.
Right? It is craziness.
Racky with shields, huh?
Down here!
It's exciting seeing everything, even if it is a bit blurry. You might want to lower that bridge.
Sleigh
He's not wrong,
turn.
darlings.
Keep going.
Sentient sleigh, thank you very much. It's a very good sleigh. Yes, yes
Suppose
indeed.
that's my blood.
Sing out
Did you see ammunition?
What now?
No arrows?
What do we have to shoot?
No fudge and arrows.
What are we supposed to shoot?
I don't know, I'm trying to find ammunition.
I don't see a mechanism.
Probably have to right across the way.
What happened? I just fold. That's great. Yeah, if you die so many times, it's over. Kitty? Give me that kitty! Kitty! Give me that kitty! Give me that kitty!
Well, we have
Give me
one.
that kitty! Hi, kitty.
Smeeble.
Hey. We need to put the green screen back up and get the actual couch so we can see the kitties. Unless they're in front. Then you could see the kitties and the puppies.
Right?
Yes. This is the best kitties. This is Sweet Loaf. It is, though.
We did so bad.
It's the bestest loaf.
Not do a good job of it. But
The
that's
snuggle. The snuggle time? I love snuggle time. Okay.
Don't stay up too late. I've got work.
Okay. Nothing free. No cool stuff. Nothing there.
Oh.
Something's got the... Well, there's no accounting for taste.
Never hear you
Isn't too much to do, unfortunately.
Old Rambler, you mean? He didn't teach me much. He wanted a shadow apprentice. But I had talent only for the blaze.
Oh, what's happened to him?
I'm ready up another portal to the next place. Oh, I know you were down here already.
Oh yeah, I'm just messing about.
Oh yeah.
The dwarves of Karak Asgaraz have had hopes of reclaiming Kazid Crow for some time.
I don't want to squish
and those
Kitty.
plans are finally in
But
motion.
she's suspiciable.
Only
And
the
Kitty is not
war
arm
parties
wrestled.
disappeared without a trace, leaving
Aw,
dreams of
that's sweet.
reconquest and the fate of
Kisses.
all concerned in a ticklish place.
I get kisses from Kitty all the
Sounds like
time.
a job for us.
And snuggles and hugs. Yeah. The noise suppression on, you can't even hear her though either. She is true void kitty. Impervious to video and sound.
In a dwarf hold. Ha! What could be easier?
Maria be with us.
Kitty of the void.
Down here!
Oh. Straight to the nape. Break stuff and get stuff. No. Anything over here? There's a
Big.
yeah. There's lots to explore, but there's just nothing to collect apparently. This would be equivalent to just a dead end in a maze.
Yeah. What?
Maybe we weren't supposed to come up here yet? I don't know. Did something wrong.
I'll set that hooker to blade.
What the fuck? Oh! Hit me around my neck.
Excuse me.
Right? They get really up and close personal. We're just talking about personal space. This is my no-no square.
Right? What is the rudest?
Over here. Bring all your friends.
Down here. Medical supplies.
Nice. Savor that. We're only probably gonna be one per level.
On every other. Just the little guy. Eat it. Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa.
Consuming me.
Jesus.
Right? The whore survived. Yeah.
Like a whole tide of them.
Vermintide? No. Help! Ah, what is this? I can't handle this smoke.
I think they're making us do drugs.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. In a circle.
Smoked.
Right in the face.
Squad type of dome piece. Hey, medical supplies. I don't mind if I do.
Yay, 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 yay. There's treasure in it.
Treasure in the hills. There's a med pack over there. You should grab
I
it.
already have one here. Loud.
Oh, then I don't mind if I do.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Hold on a second. Can I do a little parkour action up in here? Oh, fuck!
We'll die.
Hold on. Let me up there.
Well, I'm gonna heal.
Wow, arrows everywhere. Use your crossbow at all? Is it any good?
Oh yeah, I love it. coffin.
Killing this guy from around the corner. Or I was trying to. At least he was way further away than I thought. Where didn't we go?
Climb the steps.
I think we need to go down this way, maybe? Or did you go the right way?
No, I did not.
Was there bad guys?
There's a bad guy.
Well, then
There's
you
more
went the
bad
right.
guys.
You went the right way.
Chasing me, it sounds like.
You went the right way then.
That bad guy's just always came.
No. Good indicator. You're going the right way.
This controller is like the equivalency of a clacky computer or a keyboard.
Yeah, it does.
Not satisfying.
It does have that, doesn't it?
Boom the gore. Whoa. Broski. Don't want your drugs.
Careful, those drums will explode in your face.
Yes. No thanks.
I was hoping for a better outcome. I really was.
Sleep well, beardlings. I'll hold a crutch
Oh.
for you.
We didn't have to fight that thing yet.
Oh.
Kill that gas rat!
If you hold left trigger, I mentioned the blocked bash that you can do. Do that twice in a row and you'll knock them on their ass and you can just start beating the crap out of them while they lay there on the ground helpless. It's quite funny. You're doing that to hordes of them and just boop boop.
Over here! Come on!
Over here.
Because one just knocks them back a little. Two knocks them on the move. You're like, oh no. Blasting them. Oh! Not these big guys. They're like fat. Damn, son. Oh. You keep trying to revive me. It ain't working. I'm gonna explode. Nice. Sometimes it's really useful to just do it on purpose if you're being overwhelmed like that. But didn't really have a chance to do it, did I? Or
Totally man. Oh, I'm stinky boy.
Steven's gunner. Try it not to get short, you flies.
that bot spray out of here.
Bro, I have a gun too. Of course. I'm just poking things. I got another bogey things.
Booty spray. Hold on a second.
I need ammunition!
Oh.
Woodstone operators! Leave me alone, you
No, we're not.
Don't wander off, Mayflies. This isn't a place to get separated.
Another stinky boy?
Stinky boy.
Who's the one throwing farts around? Sure, his commander-in-chief was not like, you know what you can do? Throw some farts around.
Ass miss.
Oh, hello.
But
Maybe
they
someone
depicted
survived.
all in the older cartoons. Green clouds. They shouldn't have made them green clouds if they didn't want people to say it.
How are we in a potions lab with no potion? Riddle me that. Stinky boy.
There's one.
Can't see you, Stinky. Aw. Trying to help you. Bonk.
Bop. Boop.
Oh no, 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 no! Picking on the little guy. Mean bastard.
You mean bastard! How dare you!
This is the way.
Oh my god! No! Wow, I just folded instantly. Hey, how dare you talk shit? That's okay, I'll be... Oh, am I dead dead?
Dead dead.
What? No! Let's see. What? I didn't die.
Oh,
How many times did I die? I must have died. A bunch of times.
the farty boy.
Oh, waiting to be rescued. What? Where? What the fuck? Where am I?
I don't know.
I'm like
coming to get you.
nowhere near you guys. I just kind of spawned. Look how far away. That's crazy talk. What?
I will free you.
That is so weird. Okay, maybe it's just the next checkpoint. Chat, you're gonna get hit in the back. You got taken down trying to help me.
Folded to death.
Oh, where's your body's gone? Oh,
Take my med pack though.
I know.
It's gonna set me free eventually.
I know, eventually. But that was like the start of a little checkpoint. It's gonna be a little while for you, I bet.
It's okay.
Speaking to.
Organizers and Associates Extermination Services speaking. How may we assist?
Wait, set free?
I'm already alive. Well,
Set free. You're just tied up over here at random. At least it's cool about that shit. Don't do that shit. Get out of here, you. Bam, bam. You got some bigger guys that take it though. Holy shit. That's right, these are the bigger ones that can't do that to it.
this someone's favor.
Yeah, it's my fault. I used my special.
It's okay.
Does it hurt you?
I don't know. I didn't know.
I hope not.
So I ran. Watch this back.
Oh. Put that away.
Hear the pale queen.
Oh, that cat's bothering me. No. Ooh, what's up here?
I don't know, but I'm going up there.
You're on the other side. Whoa! Get out of my old face! Oh, wow.
Right? Same time.
Wow, look. They're just taking turns
Same.
molly-whopping the shit out of me.
Molly Wop. Dude, I haven't heard that word in years.
That's what they're doing. There's no better exclamation.
Exclamations. Exclamation.
I will beat you, and I will not win. I mean,
This game's serious biz.
not what I meant. Will win. I think I can.
Holy shit.
I wish I knew what button bomb was.
The left button. Or L1. Damn. Oh. He went behind me. You sneaky bastard.
They rescued you.
They did, they did. Everything's all gray though.
Yeah. Stayed that way for a while though.
Looks like you're still
Never-ending
on the
story
verge of death. Yes.
of frickin' these guys.
All I see when I dream is rat people. Rat people.
I mean, I don't mind, but it's like, bro, just come at it once. Just all come at me, bro. We'll have a good time.
Oh,
You ain't gotta goal yourself
this is not
out.
as bad as Serious Sam though.
No, definitely.
But we purposely put on like what 6-person difficulty or something just for shits and giggles.
That was fun.
Yeah, it's actually I got that on VOD somewhere I think. Video. On to my
Got instant naughty listed.
Oh, that's not bad guys. This is bad guys.
Like final boss.
I have no idea. I hope so. At this point. The horde of hordes. To end the hordes.
I knew you sons of bitches were on.
Oh, you keep getting hit by those guys, aren't you?
They just
The
keep
ninja ones with the claws?
being like, hey, can I check your prostate with this here sword? Whoa.
Wow. That was crazy talk. Ooh, I wonder if you can unlock somebody. level 6. Does that have anything to do with this game? Or is that for Microsoft? Macrosoft! This kitty is Macrosoft. Kitty! Oh, that's on me. I was on the wrong menu. I must have pushed the wrong buttons. All the things to look at.
Good evening.
Actually, you know what? There is a treasure of some sort, but I'm not sure how you get it. I think you have to have better uppies. Ooh, sputtering fireball staff. What does that do? Sounds terrible. Wow, that's a huge difference. $45 damage versus 5 damage. That's ridiculous. It's probably slow though. One does a lot more damage than that one. Like a ridiculous amount of damage.
I fought alongside the Duke of Paragon once. Did I ever tell you?
Can't say you did.
Same kind.
Had a fairly beastie of a horse.
Okay.
Kept slowing it down so I could keep up. Gave me a pedigree pony after.
Your bomb can be
I
changed
know where
depending
this
on what weapon you're using, I do
Roasted and
believe.
treated it.
I think. Like my staff does different things. I will be right back. Oh no, sorry, kitty. Kitty.
Getting so many reports from my agents, I can't keep up. Signs, portents. Everyone's mobilizing for war.
In Grumreal hold on throne of gold.
Give it a rest, Bardin.
What's the matter, son? Don't like my song?
It's not the song, it's the air of cheerfulness. Becomes grating after a while.
You should try it. Keeps the poisonous thoughts at bay.
Figure out what
Something's got
you needed for your stuff.
Yeah.
So when you hold left trigger and then right trigger,
You never answered
like
Cooper's question.
when you go to swing or do your thing with your special, it should be different depending on what weapon you're wielding. I don't know if that's the same with your character. I think it is.
Sometimes the gate guards get drunk
I could
and
be
lose the
wrong.
keys.
I mean, no. I mean, not often.
And the rest of the time?
Well, we're a cautious folk. Once our old empire fell, some kings thought it best just to leave the
Dog is snoring. Or puppies.
Did you?
I did. You can do it whenever and then wait if you want to and go through your items some more. It's
Oh
just
no,
to get it ready.
you're fine. I was just playing in my menu, and I hit something, and then it popped up. Oh no! Did I do something?
You're good.
This is fun.
Yeah, I like this game.
I've had word that the rat men are all over Athol.
There's so many good games
Yes, that
been made in the last 10
the
years
supposedly myth one.
that are
I don't
worth
know what they
playing
want with it, but if
over
even
and over and
half
over
the
again if they
stories
just
are
keep
right,
making content
there's
for them.
power there
Much like,
that we
we
can't
keep talking
let
about
them
Shadow
have.
Warrior 2. That game's a lot of fun. But there's not that many levels. And procedural generated levels only go so far. As far as mixing it up. This is pretty.
There's a funny smell on the air. Mark my words.
Elven magic's tricky stuff. I hear that there's a whole kingdom in Ulfwa where you can walk for miles without moving a step.
It is
Super
an honor
pretty.
to tread here, Lumberfoots.
I want to take a
Land
walk
of
in
dreams
these
and
woods.
nightmares, shielded behind the mists of time and
Oh shit! Bow! Okay. This mace is serious business. Oh. I thought that was bad guy coming up behind me.
Quickly now!
Dude,
Down
I
here!
dream. There's a dream that I keep going back to. It's like this place.
Ammunition here!
Oh no!
You want to cook outside in glory? No! Kill that!
Oh,
Roland! I'm losing blood!
poison mists. Because the man.
What is this?
One more blow, Bardin, and there'll be bits of you everywhere! Are you drunk for it?
That's crazy talk.
No, what's crazy talk is what's coming after you fell down.
Any chance we'll get a gander at this goddess of yours, Carillion?
So many. Holy shit.
You're badly wounded, Sienna. Yep, strength yet. Stop fighting wounded, Bardin.
another kill. See me blaze. That's how it's done.
We need to get that dog's nose checked out. That can't be good for him.
You're a bit tangy for my taste.
That was it. Okay, buddy. Serious apnea.
Follow me.
Holy crap.
I'm not sure there should be this much blood.
You're no good to us dead, Sienna. You reckon to catch a doorway with that? Got the hook, rat.
Skaven gunner.
Wait, one hit? Was I really that close?
Serious business.
Dude, our companions are just glitching the fuck out. Doing dumbass shit.
I came and got you.
Where do we gotta go? Down this way?
I don't know. This is where they came from, so maybe? Like we're going in circles, so.
Everything's pretty similar looking, huh? Oh, knocked him right off the cliff. I think we're supposed to go down there eventually.
Surely we've not killed them all. Seems a little anticlimactic. Come, Mayflies. This gate marks the way.
It's this way.
Good looking. Ooh.
No.
Pretty.
The sanctum of the goddess defiled. We're here too late. Now there is nothing left but ruin and revenge.
Right. Time to mete out some of that good old-fashioned Kruber's Right 5 reprisal, I reckon.
Unmistakable aroma of Ratman artifice and flame as well.
Thank you, boy.
Rattling gun!
Timber to burn and water to cool something down, I reckon.
You make it sound positively ominous, Bardin.
I can't help that. When the Raki.
Bad news. There's nary a usable boat in.
Oh my god.
Good news.
Bonk.
Oh no.
I am the king of this hill, not you. Get out of here. Get off of my hill.
Don't let it hook you.
Down this way!
Out you come, assassin!
Oh. God dang it. Hate those guys. Gotta wait to respawn.
No, I didn't want to do that.
You did though. You were about to die. Now you're not.
Always something in store.
Because I don't think you can heal others. Well, yeah, you can. You can. Wait, can you heal others?
I don't know.
I thought I healed you earlier.
That girl keeps making me think he is a rat person.
Okay, waiting to be rescued. Where would I be then?
I see you.
Oh, I'm right next to a boss that's tearing after you guys right now. Oh my god. It's coming up to you. Yeah. I don't think there's any running. Oh, holy shizzle.
No, I don't want to do that.
Press the left button again on the D-pad. Or B button? I don't know.
Nope. Gotta do it.
This placed me so far from you guys.
Oh my. Where is everybody?
Dying because of that beast.
Oh god, that red overhand.
Oh yeah. This game's hard.
It's your business.
It's fun though.
Business.
So much fun.
Bye.
It's like an actual war.
Oh. That was so mean to my face. Go let me friend, you're all dying. Oh, we're all dying. Oh,
Yep.
We're dead.
We're all dead.
Oh, I mean, that's not the worst of timing. You may continue on, but I must.
No. I'm good. Couple hours. Not too bad. I want to stream a little bit later or earlier tomorrow though.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We just couldn't stream early today. And it is what it is. I got a lot of content to chop up anyways.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, this game is a blast. It's just like a quick in. You beat the shit out of a bunch of things. And get back out. And then chill.
You got 2 of them.
Nice night, ain't it? Probably.
Really?
Yeah,
Can you use it?
Yeah, you can change. You can play all the characters.
Well, yeah, but I didn't know if you can use that on your dwarven character.
But I have it for if I want to play any of the other characters.
Okay.
It tries to prioritize, I think, your character, but
You get a bunch of really nice stuff, it looks like. Ooh. That's even better. Wow. Power plus 46? I'd just be destroying people. Make my attack like 80 to 100 or something ridiculous. Yeah, this is a pretty good first-person slasher shooter thing.
Back in Uber's Reich, you never answered Kruber's question. How a whole
oh no, I
dwarf
can
hole
absolutely
get
have a
lost.
gun.
Oh, that's so cool. It's like a little shotgun or
Sometimes the
something.
doors are enchanted, invisible.
This is so badass.
Sometimes the
Wait, do you have
gate
gold?
guards get drunk and
Go
lose the
down.
keys.
Oh, never mind.
No, that's like
That's not gold. That's like,
And
quicker.
the rest of the time,
yeah, bronze, I guess.
Once our old empire
Copper
fell, some
color.
kings thought it best just to leave the world to
Oh, I
itself
got
for a
some
bit.
and
fire.
that was thousands
Yeah,
of years
gold.
ago.
No sense being careful unless you mean it, Saren. We
I
do
like
have
trinkets.
long memories. And
You want to do one more run, or when
We
we
can
done?
do one more run.
Because I kind of want to play with this stuff.
With those flames of yours.
Sounds fantastical.
Turn to the right. Hold on a second. Hold on. Can I close that? Oh well. If we die, we die.
Really hard.
Well, we died every time we played. I don't think we beat a single one. We didn't beat a single race earlier.
my old dad was
And
never
we
much
didn't
of a
beat a
fighter,
single
but his
mission in
sword,
this.
now that was a
We
thing of
are
beauty.
unlocking more and more
I
things
haven't
and
seen
better
it since
things as
before
we go.
Uber's Reich,
I think you get like a
but I'm
skill
hearing that the
at level
Rock Bloods have
5.
got their filthy hands on it.
Because that's the whole point.
I'm
I think
not
you can
having
level up
that.
to your next better, bigger, better self. Stronger self. And starting early on with the difficulty higher is a choice, that's for sure. Rat. Go splat.
Ah, the River Reich. No no finer place to take a walk in the whole
Rats.
empire.
For once, I agree wholeheartedly.
There's a rock blood war camp not far off.
You're gonna grow up
The
to
sword's
punch me
there, I
and
can feel it.
claw me and shoot me with guns, which is crazy talk. How did we end up with the Vermintide when there's little guys on the ground too? Little vermins. Holy shit. So much more damage.
Like my shotgun.
It looks like you only get 2 shots, but I bet you there's better ones that can hold more shots. More rounds. Uh-oh, I didn't mean to. No! At least I was right there. That's a death, though.
Fire rat.
What it counts as.
I don't know here.
Battle Mage is also quite a choice. You gotta be careful not to do that move unless it's absolutely necessary.
Whoa! Whoa! Get off me, bro!
Oh, my bad.
Could use some
Rooted in me.
healing.
Rest, Sienna. Gather your strength.
Through here. Beware, plague bunks.
Wait, what? That was like instant.
Is forever full of surprises. It's good that she's on our side.
Oh my god.
Can you repeat it?
Whoa!
The flankage is real.
Not the second person. I don't want to run. Hit him in the face.
It's Vermintide!
Whoa!
Someone help the dwarf. I think he's drunk.
Not sure there should be this much blood.
Look like you could fall at any minute,
I don't trust it. I'm just gonna pop out in all directions all at once. Constantly. It feels like. It's the name of the game. Vermintide.
Whoa! Impervious bullet.
This is literally a romp through the woods. Oh my god. Oh! 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 Oh my god, they're all elites. Almost all of them.
So they got better weapons. And all.
I'm so glad that all my missiles and fireballs did nothing to them. They were all in one spot. I was like, ooh, pow, 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 pow. They're like, slay you in one slice. Yeah, what, miles away? Yeah, dude, what the fuck? You guys are blips! Oh, I'm so glad I caught this on stream. You guys are tiny little dots on my screen moving around. Like, a good mile, 2 miles away, I don't even know where the fuck I am. Will you guys end up where I'm at, or will you guys, like, was this the beginning? Like, who knows? And just little tiny fire tucked to the side.
I'm running. It will set you free. Drank a potion.
Oh my god, okay, so you do have to get through hordes to try to... Oh my god. Yep, you're dead.
No, I'm not!
I appreciate the save ski, but... Wow. This is a game to behold, brother. This game is crazy talk. I love it, though.
Power beanie didn't work.
I love it.
Power beanie!
Left button. This button. Yeah.
Run! My run is so weak!
What is this? You need an explosive barrel to get in. I don't know. Probably through 100 million rat, human, monster things.
Don't follow me, you dumb fucks.
Wow, you guys are actually kind of close.
I'm a bit banged up, Storm.
There's one. Just gotta grab it and set it up in there and then shoot it.
Oh, I'm so glad that they made all enemies go night-night.
Yeah, I can't believe you guys made it through that.
Accept some help as
Basic.
Whoa. You almost died trying. I'm right next to that fire. Thank you. That was crazy talk.
I was going to save you.
There's no med packs nearby.
Oh.
Damn. Got an achievement for something. What? I don't know though.
I will shield you.
Here.
Enemies. I heard him screaming.
Oh my.
Oh my. Oh, that's a good guy. That's a bad guy.
Oh, there's a lot.
You getting flanked over here?
Like that little boat of Alicia's. I should get one
What's in here? Med pack.
Pick it up. Nice. We both got something healing wise. Nice. Good stuff. And we really, really needed that.
Game is so much fun.
I'm glad that, you know, you progress, you level up, you get more stuff, better stuff, come back. Try whooping some ass for once.
Whoa, whoa. Fun?
Probably.
That wasn't very nice of you. Something just unlocked.
Really?
Yeah, it's all on the side of my screen.
Hmm.
On the side of yours too.
Okay. You got more speed. No, these are... Oh, this permanent? Oh! Stop murdering me.
Ew.
He won't get off me. Stab it, boy. Oh my god, there's such a tide of vermin down there.
Let me.
Behold my tide of vermin. Whoa, what's happening? There's a tornado and I'm stuck in it. Oh, I hate it. Whoa. Who the fuck? What the? Get that shit out of here.
Like how it made me feel on the inside.
Okay, these aren't rat people.
These are very strong people.
Oh shit.
I think they like to be on fire though.
They do. They love it.
They told me.
Wow, it didn't matter. I put it all in there too. All my tries. All my hopes and aspirations.
I don't think you liked them.
All my hopes and my dreams! No!
Stay there, witch hunter.
Oh, I don't like any of you. Please go away. Way.
Yep, that didn't help.
Oh
We have failed again.
no. There's no I am failure.
Actually, there is.
I know.
I did it! What was that? Failure!
There's a you are too.
You are too! Help!
I'm like stuck, it won't.
Oh, that's not the bad guy. Oh shit. I can't get over to you.
Oh, that's a. Who is that? Is that a friend or foe? That's a friend? Like a foe.
Where? Okay, that is a bad guy. That's a good guy.
Not a good guy. He's a bad man.
I suppose that's my blood.
You better give him a spank. What the fuck was that?
Ooh, it was a trap. That's what it was. It was a trap.
Trust nothing. I wonder if we're actually playing.
Dead.
I wonder if we're actually playing with real people.
Oh. You know what it might be?
No idea.
Very good if they are.
Very high level. That's why I was wondering, because I can't identify these characters. And I think that's... Remember the pirate turns into somebody spooky or something? You mentioned?
Yeah.
They've had it.
Oh, they're sick of us.
Yep, I don't blame them.
Hey, if they can beat
Yeah,
this
you know.
level, go for it.
More power to you.
I'll watch you beat it. Well, hello.
What's up, Astral?
Yes. Well,
Where the
they've
places
been
are you
fun.
all?
Yes. Lots of fun.
We have not won anything.
Oh no, we lost everything. We turned the difficulty up on the racing game. Got destroyed. Turned difficulty up on the very beginning of Vermintide. Got destroyed. But we are getting lots of good gear though.
So much good gear.
So I mean, we're doing better every time we come back. Until we get even better gear.
No, I wasn't rescued. I thought he was rescuing me. But he's not.
I'm here though. You're here. Maybe you will.
Ooh.
Appreciate it.
I'm the free bird.
They set you so far away. Oh shit.
Way together over the years.
What?
Darlings.
famous, but everyone knows the crew was right
I
by.
don't know if I'm supposed to do this.
Oh, we need all the players here.
Oh, where am I supposed to be?
We gotta go help.
Won't bring them back.
Oh, I see. Oh. Gotcha.
Okay. Now we can go back to the show.
What he was doing.
Waiting for the fourth player. So we have to all be here at the
No,
same
I
time.
mean, dude over there.
Oh, I don't know. Collecting stuff. Had to go get his hot pocket out of the air fryer. I don't know. Haha. You can actually attack them. That's great. Did you die?
Did. I don't think my beanie of power is doing what I think it's supposed to.
Nice, we got him. At least one of them. I don't know if we got both of them. The fuck? The fuck? It actually might be even harder because we have those high level guys with us. Kind of like DVD.
Yeah.
I have no idea if that how it works. Astro might know. He's played the shit out of this game over time. Fire the cannon! Trick! Nick!
Hold you. Get me out of here.
Look at it. The cannon hurt me?
Oh no. Not a us. Sorry, what was the question? I supposed to.
Oh. I don't. There's something. Oh, if this was like Dead by Daylight and because these people are high level and with us, we're getting swarmed and getting our asses kicked non-stop. Kind of like Dead by Daylight, if you play with people with more prestige, you get jacked up. If you're a low-level character on a high-level team type thing.
Going very fast.
Okay.
Oh, I see it.
Oh shit.
The Royal Dutchman. On the Dutchman.
I'll be waiting in the shadows.
Bob.
Then,
Or at least as up as you
About this game.
Oh, okay. So I put some time in it on Steam, like on the backlog. You can look up what games people played. I don't know if you might need. My soft, delicate body.
You get off our shit, Mr.
Mr.
Get off How you hurt me? What is happening? I took a napping on it.
You took a napping on it?
Here, peasant. Let's get back to it.
I just wonder how it feels on my face.
Exfoliating. Like a hardcore scrub. Some scrubby bubbles. Oh, I got it. Go. Damn, these things got some health on them. No, yeah.
Such is my calling and my pleasure. Let's leave him to it. You'll only make him worse.
How about you? You cad. Oh, another one. He's got a whole shit ton of things. Right. Gum. What? Damn the man. It was a tide. A Vermintide. Oh shit.
Oh, it's a kitten.
I got my bombs about me. Oh.
Need a hand, peasant.
Oh, so close to helping out. I get you.
Oh, sneebly people.
Now heal. Bless me, a bomb. You all right, peasant?
This game is quite.
It's so wacky.
Okay. Jesus. I can see the swarm. Oh, use your special if you got it. No. Everyone's just dying. This guy right here, he's a beast. Look at him go. Oh.
Okay.
That's what I was talking about. We're with some pretty high level people. I think that's why we're just getting mobbed. This guy is just... Look at him go! Oh my god, here he comes. You get the next highest level person, which is smart. I'm trying to make sure he clears it up a bit. Oh, appreciate it. Jeez. You anything good down here? Nothing but death becomes us. The swarms.
Oh my, good lordy.
Right?
My god. Who to shoot at?
Oh my god.
Oh.
Here we go again.
Oh. Oh. So horrifying.
I have health? No. Okay, no more. We're good. What the fuck? What took me down?
Bollocks, you're still not brandy.
Holy shit. What fresh hell do we have to endure next? Jesus.
See land, sweet, sweet land.
Give us land. I want to kiss it. Touch it. Touch the grass now.
Like that. I don't like you either, bro.
No! Who went where? Ah! Instant tide.
You look unwell, Saltspire.
Shambles, eh, Dory? But the sword might be here.
Oh, that's not bad guys. I heard bad guys. I thought, oh no. Swing on anybody in the vicinity. Shit.
I know what you mean. Time and memory are funny old beasts. I don't want to boast, but I think I found the sword.
It's just as I remember it.
The Kruger sword.
Potion, let me pick up. That would be our cue to leave.
No quarter. None survive until.
Back on.
Everything.
Right.
There you go. Other side.
I spy a potion.
Shoot into the crowd.
That's about it. What I do. My gigantic explosions.
Oh.
Stay away from the riverbank, Dory.
I can't feel my hands.
How did I die? Does my special kill me? Kind of like the explosion? Wow. It's a whole valley just full of them. Jeez. Oh my god. Well, got me some time to wait. Oh, my goodness.
Are you seriously over there?
Oh, do you see me? Look. This is where you guys are.
Clear the beach.
Oh, yeah. I'll be right back. Real quick.
Oh, 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 oh. I want to see if they can get us out of this. I don't think they're going to be able to.
That night is insane.
It is. He's crazy. He's so good. Whoever these people are that we're playing with are so freaking good.
Oh, that is level 27, that's why. That's why we're getting destroyed.
Yeah, we're level 4.
Yep.
Oh, I wonder if there's a way to have bots. Oh wow, I'm about to be with you. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Nope.
Was a tide.
A Vermintide.
Yeah. Until you die.
That's hilarious.
Tempered by war. Unlock first talent point. That might have helped. These guys are like, damn it. If only we had two higher level people. Ooh, dagger. Yes, please.
Oh, wrong.
What? Dog. Give us. Oh my god, that's a dog. Good, you baby. Oh. Yes, you little guy. Oh my goodness.
The sun is
Blue
shining.
things.
What? What'd you get?
Ooh, I got blue things.
I didn't get anything blue. I don't need it. I got stone things. Ooh. I didn't have a new sword yet.
Whatever. Oh wow.
What?
As much as I like the gun. 86?
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, that was the last run, dog. It was.
Yeah, because
It's time for bait.
Hermie's got to be up early.
What does it excite the parble? Is it going night nights? Oh, yeah? Look at him over here sitting like a little man. Alright. Oh, let's quit out, because I don't want to keep these guys hanging, because those are real people. Let's get out of the
On tomorrow.
game at least. That way they don't think we're... Yeah, there we go.
At the same time, that's crazy.
Really?
At the same, it was weird.
That is weird.
Great.
But yeah, we found a whole list of games, Astral. A whole filtration of them to be able to play together with this setup. And then some, because all the Call of Duties, like Black Ops, we can play like this. But we have to get a new Call of Duty app they just came out with. Gears of War. Let's see, does that filter still on? No. Show them real quick. Let me see. Filter. Is that the Xbox making that noise? Oh, it's your fan. I was gonna say that's being loud. Worried about that thing. But yeah. Wait, I didn't even put the filter on. So all of these games pretty much can be played if we so choose to. Be all the Battlefields and a bunch of Halos on here too. Because to be fair, these are the ones that are just installed. If I go over here to full library and do that, which is all the Game Pass games at once. A lot of them you can play off the cloud and do this. That's 437 game potentials right there. If you can just play right off the other one like that. Back and forth. There's a bunch of Call of Duties. Okay. It looks like you have to download 7, but we could play 6 off the cloud. Okay. I was wondering where they were. They just weren't installed, and we were looking through the normal, inventory. Some more racing games we might put a play together. Dead Island. You've been wanting to play Dead Island too.
That's such a fun game.
And we're all the way down to the pier and the beach. Orange County. I'm trying to think of the name of that place. Long Island, I do believe. It's what it's supposed to be modeled off of. Ooh, we can play Fallout 76 together. I've been wanting to get into that. That game is vastly improved over the years, from what I understand. I'm just kind of real quick because we didn't go through this list earlier. I figure why not real quick? End of stream, just go through a bunch more Need for Speeds here. Yeah, because we had the extra system and we gave it to the oldest to play games, and they've been playing most of their games off the other systems that they got going on. So I figured why not bring that thing back in here and be able to do this at least until I feel like going out there and finishing up that computer out there and bringing it in here. We can play all kinds of things then.
Yeah, actually.
Because I'm not gonna do that sunlight, moonshine stuff or however you sunshine, moonlight, sunlight, moonshine, moon something. I don't know. That wireless stuff that I was doing was really, really hard to set up. There's no point in doing all that stuff. We rarely go out into the living room, and there's plenty of stuff out there already. This is just what's going on.
Right?
Whoa, play that game together. I actually start up Where Winds Meet. That's pretty good. A lot of controls to it, but not bad. Especially for a free game. I was expecting a lot of paywalls, a lot of advertisements, like some type of weird gotcha systems. It's legit just a game ski. It's kind of like Naraka Blade Point. It's kind of like ooh, what was that other game that Lee wanted me to play really bad? Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can't. No, we're talking about samurai type games. Yeah. Yep. But good night, everyone. We'll be on sometime today, later on, technically. But have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.